It is finally happening. Apple just announced Final Cut Pro coming to the iPad along with Logic as well. Now we have a bunch of information, but what is interesting are the things that Apple didn't mention. So in this video, I'm gonna be going through all of the cool updates for Final Cut on iPad, and believe it or not, a lot of these things are actually better than on the Mac. Now let's get this out of the way. This Final Cut will not be available to buy one time. It is gonna cost you $5 a month or a yearly $49 purchase, which sucks because on the Mac, I bought Final Cut 8, 9, 10 years ago, and I get all the updates for free. But at the same time, it's $5 a month, it's not $300, and you can cancel month to month if you're going with that plan. Now this is gonna be coming out May 23rd, so we are very close. Now let me show you guys some of the killer features. Now on the right-hand side, we have the jog wheel. Now if you've seen professional high-end setups, they will have a jog wheel that makes it easy and quick to move through your timeline, and this has it built in on the right-hand side, super convenient. And of course, you can use the Apple Pencil or your finger because this has a new touchscreen interface. Now, Blackmagic Design released DaVinci Resolve for iPad, and I showed off how nice it is to use the Apple Pencil. Video editing on this is gonna be excellent. And with that, here's something that we are so excited for, the ability to draw on your display and have easy, quick animations that are playing back with your video. This is so much nicer and easier to use than trying to do keyframes and animations on a desktop. And of course, you can combine that with Apple's keyboards to have shortcuts and edit both ways. Now, one of the things they didn't mention is how this is going to integrate with Final Cut. We see here that you can import from iMovie, which is a given, but I looked through everything, and what I found is that you can export to your Mac that has Final Cut, but they are not allowing you to import from your Mac to the iPad, which is what I would like to do to be able to do some of those drawings on the screen, draw some arrows to help you guys visually see what I'm talking about, but it doesn't look like they want you to do that. Now, you guys know that the 12.9-inch iPad has that mini LED HDR display that hits 1600 peak nits of brightness. It is an amazing display. And now you'll be able to work with HDR content, edit, and visually see it the way it's supposed to be, and then of course export that out. And unlike a lot of other apps, for your exporting, you have a lot of options here to choose from. They're not limiting you. Now let me share some of the things I'm most excited about, and first off, we have voice isolation. We have this in the iPhone. When you're talking to somebody, it can actually now pull your voice out, get rid of background noise, and you could do this with regular clips that are there. We also have scene removal, where you can cut out a subject from the background and then put anything else that you want there. These are things that we do not have on the Mac version of Final Cut Pro. So it's really cool to see that, and the fact that the neural engine on these M1 and M2 chips are being used. So here's another thing that you don't really easily see on this page, and that is the fact that you need to have at least an M1 chip in your iPad or an M2 to be able to use this program. Now, Logic, that one goes all the way back to, I think, the 812, doesn't need that much power, but because of Final Cut, I think that a lot of people are gonna want to upgrade their iPads. We also have auto crop, where it will take your video and make it into a vertical format to share online, which is very cool, also using the neural engine. And the multicam editing also seems to be very good. It will synchronize your video with your audio, and I really like how they put the little strip down here at the bottom instead of the side. It saves you a lot of space, and then as you're editing, you can go ahead and switch through between angles and then adjust all your audio as well. It looks to be very well made. Of course, you're gonna get a bunch of transitions, titles, all that built in, but the ones that they show off, I mean, they're kind of cheesy, just like in Final Cut. You guys can see these right here. I mean, they're okay. We use a few of them, But what is more important is that you'll be able to use third-party plugins like from Motion VFX. Here they mention third-party content, and that could be, you know, pictures, animation, video. But what they don't show off there is if you scroll all the way down, they literally say some of these templates are from Motion VFX. So we love Motion VFX, we use it all the time, and you're gonna be able to have a lot of extra stuff just like you would on Mac OS. Now the cameras on the iPads are not that good. They are years behind the iPhones, especially the 48 megapixel ones where cinematic mode actually looks really, really good. But with that, they are building in the ability to be able to record right in Final Cut. And you have great manual controls, which we normally wouldn't have. So you can adjust a lot of your settings. You can see what you're recording, the audio. You can even shoot in ProRes and then directly go right into your timeline. So hopefully the newer iPads that will come out will have that 48 megapixel sensor with the new software, and then it will be usable. Like we're shooting stuff on iPhone right now and it looks fantastic even for our YouTube videos. And take a look at this. Here they're saying you shoot cinematic mode on iPhone, and then in the actual program, you can change the focus or even remove it. That's why we need the better cameras here. But that is such a cool feature to have built in, because it's a pain going to your iPhone, adjusting it, sending it back to your computer, to your Mac, putting it in. This is awesome. And there are so many other things that you could do, including ProRes RAW, crazy. You have good color grading tools, scopes there, keyframes, I mean, a ton of stuff. And then you can also send it out to Final Cut. And this right here also tells us in a way that they are not trying to replace the Mac version with this. I don't want to call it Final Cut Lite for the iPad, but there are going to be more features on Mac that you would still want to have a MacBook and an iPad. Of course, that's Apple. They like to make money. And another thing they don't mention, but if you look in the fine print, this requires Final Cut 10.10.6, which is not out yet, but that also tells us that they are going to release a new version of Final Cut at the time that this software is going to be released. Now, another thing they did not mention, but we could take from this, is that WWDC will be absolutely packed. The video they showed off for this launch would have been perfect at WWDC. That's a software developer conference, but they chose to release this with a little press release because they have so many different products, software, things coming out at WWDC that it is just way too packed. So we know that WWDC is going to be absolutely great this year, not boring like some previous ones. So are you going to be upgrading to an iPad with an M1 or an M2 chip to be able to use Final Cut if you don't have one of those already? And what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments section below. Click that circle to subscribe. Check out one of those videos right over there. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next one.